because we're going to set up kind of the underlayer, or the construction, I guess would be one way of looking at it, of the cross contour lines. I'm going to use a darker pencil to begin with, but just draw lightly so that I don't have to get up and use a new sheet of paper. So, like with this guy, now the first thing to know is that we're not paying attention to the reflections or the wood grain or any kind of surface detail, even in the glass over here, which has, you know, lots of transparent shapes and things like that, or the reflections on top of the bottle. That's not our concern. All we're doing is expressing mass, the dimensionality of the surface, right, through the cross contour technique. So it's an abstract way, meaning it's not there, but it expresses what's there. Does that make sense to everybody? If we get involved with the textures and the cracks and cracks and crevices, then that will interfere with our ability to do the cross contouring. So if I look at the surface of this, I was thinking about this. Yes, I think about you when I'm not in class. How can I explain to them the cross contouring idea when you have a very organic shape like this? So these are your vertical lines. Now I say they're vertical only because they go up and down, not because they're straight vertical. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I could start off here, kind of mimicking that. Now, am I drawing straight lines?
No.
No, I'm kind of thinking about what would my lines look like if they were there on an organic shape. They would be kind of wavy. Does that make sense to everybody? And then this line is going to kind of mimic the top and the bottom line. And notice that I'm not making them like real focused. They don't even necessarily need to be continuous. But do you guys see how that is helping to express that surface?
Yeah.
Yes? Now here, the plane is a horizontal plane. So this is going up, and then this is like the top of a table, right? Does everybody see that over there? So here, I'm going to make lines that are closer to horizontal, and that mimic this line and this line. And then of course, I'm going to have lines moving that way. And then as I go over the edge, I'm going to switch back to a vertical line. This making sense?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to have lines again like this. Do you see how that's really helping to describe the form of that shape, or the mass? You might hear me use form and mass interchangeably. I'm a little wary of the term mass. I won't go into an explanation. I prefer the term form, but a lot of times when you hear a teacher referring to mass, they use the term form. So look at this shape right here on the board. What kind of shape is it? Is it going up, or is it going vertical or horizontal right through this little area right here? Huh? Okay. I'm talking about this little area right here. Vertical?
Vertical.
Yes. So we're going to continue this vertical like this. And then it's going to kind of wrap around, and this is a plane that's at an angle, right? It's neither vertical nor horizontal. Does that make sense to everybody? So if you think like an ant, like if I were an ant walking over the surface of this thing, what kind of marks would I leave? You see how that leans it back in space? Yes? And makes it feel like it's elevated, like a hill going upward. And then we would probably have something like that going down the surface. And notice like here it gets steeper and here it gets a little shallower. Is all this making sense?
Yes.
No, don't apologize.
You like picking on her, don't you?
No. Your name is Kai, right?
Yeah.
Right. I said, Kai, does that make sense?
No.
And then Grayson said, yeah. And I'm like,
I didn't hear you
Kai?
say Kai.
There are 2 recordings of this if we really want to dispute.
Yes. What kind of marks am I making? Are they closed marks or open marks? Do they peter out at the end?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not continuous, which means they're open or closed. Open. Do you guys see how nicely that expresses the mass of that surface? Sorry, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. Now here, I want to transition. Now, is that right here a sharp corner or a soft corner? Look at it. Is that a sharp corner or a soft corner? Huh?
Soft.
It's a soft corner, right? So we would probably expect something like that, right? Little arcs. What does that do to that corner?
Gives it dimension.
It makes it like a rounded corner, yeah. Which does give it dimension, right? And then maybe some little ones like this. So what are we dealing with right now as far as these cross contour marks? What would you call these types of cross contour marks? Primary, secondary, or tertiary? They're like tertiary fine details, right? You see how that softens those
Yeah.
edges? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Bree, can you see?
Yeah.
Can Bree see?
I can see. I just like need glasses.
Yeah.
I have weird glasses.
So what would you say about this fold in the drapery here?
The drapery.
Marley, could you do me a favor and turn off the lights? Hi, Savannah. How are you doing? Can you see?
Yeah.
Why don't you come over here? I want you to be close to me.
Oh, but I don't. I think I'm good at it.
That's good. Can you guys see okay now?
Yeah.
Can you see that better?
You don't want to switch spots?
So talk to me about this drapery right here. What sort of marks should there be? Vertical, like this?
Diagonal.
Oh,
Like this? Because they're kind of like a hill,
yeah.
right? That making sense? And then what would happen right here?
They were kind of curved.
They would curve over the edge because that's like a cylinder, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Now, do I care if these things line up?
No.
No, not necessarily. Does it look bad if they don't line up?
No.
No. You see how that makes that, what could be interpreted as being flat, look round all of a sudden?
Yes.
Yep. And then we could have some stuff here that goes counter to, and as it goes off the page, what should happen to it?
Get lighter.
It should fade off as it goes off the page, right? See how nice that looks? You guys get how to do this type of thing, right?
Mhm.
That would be easy to do, right?
Mhm.
Well, let's
Hopefully.
just, something like that. And then these would be vertical, just like the edge, and then round here. And then this would be vertical, and then it would go out towards that side. Don't do shadow puppets. I know it's tempting. I don't like that. I like that better. All right, does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
And then here, we would have maybe some broader round marks, like this. Why? Because it's not as
It's not sharp.
it's not as sharp a curve, right? And then it might go down like this.
Hmm.
You guys see why I did that different than this?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? What happens to the lines as they go behind another object?
Fade away.
They fade away.
As soon as I disappear.
Yes.
Okay? That clear to everybody?
Yes.
What type of marks are going to go here?
Soft, like straight.
Straight ones. So, let's see, that's going to be a line like this. So basically, they kind of echo the contours, at least in one direction, right?
Yes.
And then these are going to be vertical, right?
Mhm.
Because that's the side plane of the book. And then we would have lines that go, it's really hard to draw like this. It makes my arm sore. But that looks pretty good, yes? And then some cross contours. I guess they're all cross contours, but perpendicular marks. What about the wood? So, like this? Yes?
Yes. Yes, chef.
And then
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah.
And then I see a little bit of a thickness. Do you see that little ledge on the side of the wood? So, like this. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. More drapery. Okay. Everybody clear with this?
Yeah.
Any questions? No? Are you good to go? Pablo? Now, am I doing any serious line variation in my contours yet?
No.
No. I'm keeping it moderate to light. Their lines are open, so there is some variation. Okay. So this is like step 1 of step 2. Once everybody gets this map done, meaning the whole thing mapped out as I'm doing here, then we'll go back and we'll add some line variation to the cross contours. Does that make sense? And that will all be done. Probably what I would like to do is get this done during the first half of class, then start on the line variation so that we can finish it up by the beginning of class on Monday. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
But I want us to get into that, A, so that I can demonstrate it, and B, so that if you have questions, you can ask me, so that going into the weekend, you will feel confident, dry and secure, raise your hand if you're sure. Okay, does everybody know what I'm singing? No, I'll play it. All right, go draw.